Welcome back to the Pig Trail Show. It is time for our Hog Hoops report with Kevin McPherson. And let's talk about this unfortunate game that Arkansas had against Alabama the other day, losing by 30 points to the Tide. I mean, it just was not a good showing for the Razorbacks.
Well, it was really a bad week. Arkansas went on the road against two veteran, talented SEC teams, and you come home with combined losing margin of 47 points. And LSU beat Arkansas in the midweek by 16, but really that was a game where LSU led by 31 at halftime, and then Bama leads by as many as 36 on Saturday. It ends up with a 31-point win. And usually when you have a bad game, you say throw it out the window and move on. But Arkansas's had several bad games since the
Hmm.
beginning of SEC play. And I think you can't just throw that out the window. I think you have to really focus on, how to get better. That sounds obvious, easier said than done. But there are definitely things to build from. But when I look at it, you can't even point to a statistic where Arkansas fell down. I mean, they're basically been dominated in most of the categories that winning and losing when you look at stats. But the eye test is the thing. When you look at these teams around the league, like I mentioned LSU and Alabama just this week, you not only see the level of talent, but guys that have been played together through the SEC, not just this season, but in previous seasons. Teams that were tested more so than Arkansas was in the non-conference. So where Arkansas sits right now at 2-4 in league play, losers of four of their last five games, three of those by double digits, and in those three by double digits, the average margin of losing is 20 points. Those are stats that matter right now, and Arkansas's got to get it fixed because you see dysfunction at both ends of the floor. You see a lack of synchronicity or guys playing, having a good chemistry on the floor because it seems like Arkansas is almost frozen like statues out there. Their players defensively,
Yeah.
teams are having their way. Arkansas looks unable to close out on shooters, wall off drives, and then finish defensive possessions with rebounds. Arkansas seemed to be a good rebounding team, and even lately that's been off. Then on offense, they're out of sync. So there's a lot of stuff going into it right now, Tara. I know Eric Musselman's going to get back to the drawing board and try to get things fixed.
Yeah, I think dysfunctional is probably the best term for it, like you used. Let's talk about Moses Moody, though. He was probably the only bright spot for Arkansas in that game against Alabama. What do you think about him and how he can possibly become a leader for this team going forward?
Well, he's having an all league season, and he's really the guy when you look at it, even from the beginning. He leads the team in minutes. He's the leading scorer on the team, top six in the SEC. And if you look in the SEC at statistical categories, he's at the top of the league in so many of them that matter. And it is a centerpiece and a building block for Eric Musselman and the Razorbacks to rally around because if you listen to Moses Moody, even in post game interviews like yesterday,
Mhm.
it's not that he's saying the right things. He says things with genuine meaning and purpose because he's very mature for his age and likely to be, Hog fans probably don't want to hear this right now with everything else going on, but likely to be the first one and done to wear a Arkansas Razorbacks uniform because I think he's a guy that projected on so many first round mock drafts right now is a guy that's going to eventually, if he keeps these, keeps up the play that he's had so far, even in SEC play, is a guy that's going to come off the board in the first round in the 2021 NBA draft.
Well, they're going to need more than Moses Moody for the rest of this season, especially with Auburn coming up. How does Arkansas bounce back?
I tell you one way you bounce back, you get four of your next five SEC games at home, and your road game in that stretch is at Vanderbilt, a team that has really struggled in the league in the last few years, and a team that I think that's a winnable game for Arkansas. Obviously, in this league, you cannot have dysfunction. You've got to be more in sync than the Razorbacks have shown lately. But I think Arkansas has the building blocks around Moses Moody. I think that top five rated freshman class nationally probably did not have a big enough role in the non-conference. Guys missing entire games, not getting enough minutes. We're seeing them get more and more minutes now as Arkansas tries to fix things. But I think those guys are going to continue to get better. I think Justin Smith being back in the fold, he played 18 minutes in that washout at Alabama, but just having him back, I think is going to help this team moving forward. And then I think guys like Jalen Tate, Desi Sills, who's been in a slump, even JD Note, Connor Vanover, who's since SEC play is seeing his minutes go down and his effectiveness go down. I think there are ways to tweak and adjust those roles to get this team back to winning. Let's not forget they went on the road and beat Auburn by 12 points.
Hmm.
They just blew out a little over a week ago Georgia by 30. And if there's a silver lining in a loss, they went on the road and only lost by five to a top 10 Tennessee team that is still a strong team. So I think Arkansas has done enough in league play right now to give some clues that they can turn this around. And it starts with 4 of these 5 games at home. And look, these are beatable teams. It's Auburn comes up next. Arkansas's shown they can already beat the Tigers, right? Because that's been done in the league opener.
Mhm.
And then you've got teams coming in outside of that road game at Vanderbilt. You've got Texas A&M, Ole Miss, Mississippi State. I think all of these are opponents that Arkansas can find a way to match up with and pull out victories. So all is not lost. 12-4, 2-4 in league play. That's not the start you wanted in SEC, but I think Arkansas can work their way back into it. And the good news is too, Tara, is the analytics right now are still good for Arkansas. When you look at Insulate Net rankings and some of the other ones, they're really right on the bubble right now. I think with a chance to control their own destiny.
All right, Kevin McPherson, thanks so much for your time. That's going to do it for our Hog Hoops report, though. We've got more coming up on the pig trail after the break.